Hello, hi guys, what's up? It's me, Heron, your favorite booktuber, and I decided to do a video, another one of these 2023 themed videos about, this time, not books. We're switching things up a little bit. We're going to be talking about movies. Whoa, big, wild, bold, audacious, big, wild, bold thing to say because I don't really watch a lot of movies. I mean, I never properly tracked them before. 2023 was the first year that I sat down and I kept a little list going. I'm not on Letterboxd. I won't be making my way over there, so don't even bother asking me. But basically, I decided to keep a list, and I just thought I would organize the films in terms of best to worst, or rather worst to best. That's the order I'm going to go in. But I kind of feel bad saying best worst film, so instead I put them in 3 different categories. But before we even get there, let me talk to you a little bit about my media consumption in 2023. So in terms of films, I watched, how many even did I watch? 13, 14. Okay, I watched 14 brand new movies, 14 brand new films that I have never seen before, and I did rewatch 2 movies. I rewatched Marie Antoinette and Pride and Prejudice. Pride and Prejudice is a film I rewatch really often, especially when it's on Netflix. I think it's currently off Netflix, but whatever. In terms of TV shows, I started Guns and Glob. I did not finish it. I started and finished Blue Eye Samurai, Love Island. I love my Love Island. The new season of Rani, I started and didn't finish. My Happy Marriage, which was a Netflix recommendation. I started that, didn't finish that, and then I watched the new season of The Witcher. That is in terms of the television I watched. Okay, moving on to the films. Let's just dive right into it because we're already 2 minutes in. Considering that I watched 14 films, I'm actually only going to be putting 12 of them in the categories because of those 14 films, one was The Boy and the Heron, which in comparison to the rest of the films, I just don't really think it's fair to rate that. I would say that the film is an exploration of loss and childhood innocence. Very beautiful, but a little too long, I thought. And then, so that's just not going to go with the other 12 films. And then the other thing that I watched was a documentary called Shinjuku Boys, which is from the 90s, looking at the transgender community in Japan. Very fascinating. By the way, guys, if you hear this like persistent knocking, I think there's construction happening in one of the buildings next to me. So we're just going to move on past that. So the categories that I put together for my films, the 12 films that I'm going to be giving to you guys, we have kind of forgettable, enjoyable, and then solid, good films. So the kind of forgettable films, there are 5 in this category, and I think some of them will shock you. First up, we have Priscilla. This is kind of wild to say. I was really looking forward to this film. I read Elvis and Me, the memoir, in anticipation of this release, and considering how much I really enjoy Marie Antoinette, which I think is a really beautiful film, really great shots, wonderful clothing, I think I was expecting a similar level of extravagance and just indulgence with Priscilla, and we didn't really get that. I think there was a lot of boring shots. And I do think that though the film does a great job of showing the uneven relationship between this power dynamic between Priscilla and Elvis, which is obviously very uncomfortable, I think that the most interesting parts of their relationship is how Priscilla gains her independence when she is married to him, and we really just fly through that. Like, we spend so much time on her early years, like 16 to 18, and then when she gets married, like, she has 2 affairs. We don't even cover that. Anyways, so that's why it's not something I've thought about a lot. Then we have, up next, we have Barbie. Now, Barbie was a film that I watched in India, and I think visually, stunning film, very great colors, really wonderful costumes, and a beautiful set. Like, it's very visually appetizing, but when it comes to content, it kind of drops the ball, at least for me. I thought that the pacing of the film was a little bit off, and I thought that the message was too overt, and I personally prefer things that are far more nuanced and, you know, challenging, things that make you question. And I just felt like Barbie was very much so a film that's at face value, and it's probably something I don't think I'll ever watch again. The next 2 films are Indian films. So we have Rocky or Rani. This is a K3G kind of story for the younger generation, is how I often heard it when I was in India. But this movie was really long. Every character had their own little arc. And in that regards, I do think it was a fun film, but it's just too long for me. The only good song was the Diljit song, but that's because I'm biased. I really only listen to Punjabi music. So this is another one of those films. totally forgettable. I can't even spend too much time thinking about it. Next up, we have Dreamgirl 2. Now, this film is also forgettable because I literally don't remember the plot. If you don't know, Dreamgirl 1 is incredible. It's awesome. I would really recommend it. And it has the actor in it. I really like him, Ayushmann Khurrana. I think he's a great actor. And basically in both of those films, they're kind of riffing off of the same idea. It's a guy who is able to adopt the voice of a girl and really like play with people's expectations. So in the first film, he's a call girl, and then in the second, well, like on the phone, a call operator, I don't know, whatever. He's getting money through doing that. And then in the second film, he somehow is like dressing like a girl and gets married. And it's a lot of fun for sure, but it's very forgettable. Like I really don't remember the plot. Then the next tier, if you would, is enjoyable. These were films that I enjoyed, that I somewhat thought about ever since after watching it, like here and there, the thought would cross my mind like, oh, that was interesting, or whoa, cute. So that's why we're talking about them here. Because one of the things that I realized when it comes to films is that the way I revisit films is different than literature. A lot of the books that I read, I do spend time thinking about them again and again. They come back to me, I can remember more of the plots. Films aren't like that. Films occupy a different space in my brain, and so that's why in some regards, part of the criteria for this, of my tier ranking them, was how memorable they were. And so anyways, the second tier, if you would, is enjoyable films. So first up we have, and this is a bold thing to say, we have The School of Good and Evil. This was on Netflix, and I watched it in the beginning of the year because I was really at a loss and I didn't want to rewatch Gilmore Girls or Pride and Prejudice, and I just wanted something lighthearted and like chill. And I sat through the whole film and I watched it all. I had no complaints. Yes, the dialogue is over the top. Yes, the plot is silly. The film is silly, but it was fun and very just ridiculous, but just time passed. And in that regards, I enjoyed it thoroughly. So Past Lives is the next film that I'm putting on this category of enjoyable. I watched this when I was in Italy by myself in the theater, and while I was watching the film, sitting in front of me was a family of 3, mother, father, and adult son, and they walked out of the film in the middle of it. Not even the middle, they probably only got a third of the way through. I sat through all of it, and I did like it. I do think it has some really nice, interesting dialogue. It's not a traditional romantic film. It doesn't end in a conventional happy ending, but it is very nuanced and interesting and sad, and I liked it. And then we have Sense and Sensibility. So this is from the 80s. I kind of made that up. I don't know what it's from. But this is my first time watching Sense and Sensibility, and considering how much I watch Pride and Prejudice is really surprising. Yeah, it's from 1995, and it's a wonderful story, so good. They did such a great job. I really loved it, and it has a great ending. Then the next film that I'm putting in this category is You Hurt My Feelings. Now, this is a very funny movie. This is about, and I don't think a lot of people talked about it. This is a story of this woman who's an author. She's married to her husband, who I think is a therapist of some variety. And she finds out that her husband lied to her. He said he liked her new book. He didn't like it. And so she's spiraling, and she's just like, what does this mean about our marriage? Like, he lied to me, blah, blah, blah. And through the film and the various people we encounter, you see all the little lies that people tell to their loved ones. And it's really just a matter of like, should you be honest actually, or should you, help them try to achieve their goals? And it's just very funny, very clever, very smart, and just very indicative of where we are in our society. I thought it was fun. And then the next three films that I'm ranking, these are good quality cinema. These are incredible, awesome films that I really loved and I thought were incredible. Okay, of these 3 though, there is one that is like my best film of the year, and we'll get there, don't you worry. So, okay, starting it off strong, we have American Fiction. This is inspired by Percival Everett's novel. The novel is escaping me, but I really like this film. This tells the story of a Black author who is really a wonderful author, very intellectual, writes these great books, but no one's buying them. And the books that are succeeding are ones that are really fitting into the woke agenda and owned voices, and it's these stories of Black people suffering. And so as a joke, as a spoof, he writes a novel, and it has like a silly title, and then he decides in the middle of the film to change the titles like Fuck Yourself, and the publishers are like, that's bold, but like, we should do it. We love that title. And he was really just thinking like, fuck yourself. But, so anyways, as I was saying, so the book ends up, he writes this joke novel, and it sells for so much money, and obviously he's like struggling for money, so he takes the money because he has to take care of his ailing mother, and his brother's going through it, and his sister died, and there's just a lot happening, but it's really funny. And then you see him kind of like following through this trajectory of like the film doing well and him having to contend with his morals and like what makes good art, and so you're just following that progression. Really enjoyable. Also, it's a really great Boston film. The film takes place in Boston, and there's lots of Boston jokes, so if you are from Mass, you'll probably enjoy it. Next up, we have another Boston film. This is Eileen. So this is highly anticipated from me, and it was really good. Eileen is the novel by Otessa Moshfegh. It's a story of this young woman who's working in a prison, and she is a weirdo and meets this older woman, and they kind of embark on this adventure, and it's very dark. And the film, I think, did a solid job of translating the novel into a screenplay and the subsequent film. I do think it could have been a little bit more weird, but what I really enjoyed about the film is that it really leans into this neo-noir, like very 50s style mystery, and it just adds like this allure to the film that I think is really interesting, and it was very moody and just super great. My only complaint is that I watched this in cinema, and I do think we could have had subtitles, because a lot of modern films, when you go into the theaters, they make it so that the music is really loud, but you can never really hear what the actors are saying. I think all English films should have subtitles, personally. And yeah, I thought the film was great. That's it. It was a good film. And then after that, my number one film of the year is this Japanese film that I watched in the summer, possibly. It's called Hana-bi, which is the story of this police officer who is retiring from the field. He has to take care of his ailing wife, but he needs money, so he borrows it from the mob, and it's just an adventure. And at the same time, it's just very moody, and there's lots of slow shots. Just in some regards, I was like, well, where are we going with this? But I kept on thinking about the scenes. That's why this is my favorite, is because months after watching the film, I would still see the scenes in my brain. I would see that artist painting, and those images were really stuck in my head, and I think the ending is also really romantic and sad at the same time, and I think there were some really great fits, and it was an awesome film, and that brings us to a close. Those are the 12 films that I decided to categorize in this little situation. I hope you enjoyed my first foray into movie criticism. I am hoping to watch more films in 2024. And initially I said I would watch 52 films, one a week, but it's already the fourth week, the end of the fourth week of January, and I've only watched one movie, and it's just a big ask. So I'm just hoping to watch 12 films, keep it really low. Hopefully I watch things that really excite me in the way that Hana-bi did. And with that, drop what movie was your best in 2023 and what you think I should watch. Or if you're like, you know what, you should really watch X film because it's blah, blah, blah. Maybe I'll do it. Maybe I just need encouragement, because I have noticed that a lot of the times when people leave comments and they're like I'm only doing this video because someone commented and was like, yeah, I want to hear what your movie rankings are. So I really like accountability. It keeps me honest. So if you have a recommendation, drop it, and I will see you in the next video.